Okay, I have a. We're gonna do a hack on a Vivitar 3700 slave. This thing's pretty bright. As far, I use it for infrared. Use it for white flash. Boy, that's gonna be pretty rough. So the first thing we're gonna do, what I do is I just take all the screws out because I keep them. So I'm just gonna take all the screws out. Because we're just going to tear this thing apart. We just want what's inside. I always like, I'm sure you probably cut this down, but I always like to keep screws. Just never know when you drop one or something for who knows what. This is just a sticker. That's no good. Most of this we're going to be throwing away. I pull that apart. Now these boards, the one board is screwed down. So I got the back off, throw it away. various parts. There's a screw. I'll just take it off. You really don't need to, but now, don't want to touch the capacitor parts unless you know that thing's discharged. Let me throw that away. This bottom part just has a connector. Bottom part is a connector. I can just pull it and the whole bottom comes off. Throw it away. There's a lot of throwing away done here. I don't need... Now there's two ways you can do this. You can desolder this ribbon. I don't waste time with that. I just whack it off. So I just go through. Gotta be careful, I haven't discharged that capacitor yet, or make sure it was discharged. We'll go over that here in a few minutes. So I can do that now, or I could have done it before. So what I want to do now is take my take a resistor and make sure that this capacitor is discharged. Okay, then we're going to want to cut off this board the orange wire and the black wire. And this board's no good, I can throw it away. This is all I end up keeping is a capacitor. Whoops, sticky. All I keep is the capacitor and the slave and this board here. Now, we got to modify this board. And what I'm going to want to do is cut off this resistor and that resistor and the capacitor. So you can just solder it. I always just cut it off. I end up, and if I'm going to put anything through, I just solder whatever the solder on the other side is. And these parts here are junk. So I cut off the capacitor was here, and the two bottom resistors. You want to leave this one there in. Now sometimes, now we took off this capacitor was gray. Sometimes it could be blue. Okay, our next step, we're going to want to put a jumper between this spot and that spot on the board. So I'm going to prep the board. Okay, I'm going to solder my first jumper in. I'll get it in the other hole. There we go. So that's our first jumper. Now we have one more jumper to do. And what we're going to do is, there's a hole already for this one. And if you look down, there's a hole right here. Hole right there. And we're going to solder a jumper from there to down here. Okay, I'm going to take a jumper. Like I said, there's a bare hole here. Nothing goes to it. Right there. Okay, I'm going to take, now I have 12 contacts here. So to my left it's going to start as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now I'm going to use, from the left, from here down, the third contact. So I'm going to stick the jumper in the third contact where the ribbon used to be. And I'm going to put it in and then I'll solder it. Flip that over and okay, that's soldered. There's my jumpers. Okay, now we're going to attach the capacitor we cut off earlier. So as I said, there's 12 contacts. This be 1, this is 12. You can always tell 12 is the one with the big ring around the board. It's a big ring. This is 12 ground. So I want number 2 for the capacitor. So I'm going to count over 1, 2. I'm going to go from the back side in. Let's make sure I have it. So there's number 2. Now the ground's going to go, or the capacitor negative, it's going to go to number 12. So that's my very last one. Okay, we're going to get that on. So it's the 12th one, the very last one is my ground. And fit. So I got that soldered on. So now my capacitor is soldered on to my board. And you can see number 2 and number 12. Okay, we're going to do power now. And power is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7th terminal over. This means terminal number 7. And negative would be terminal 12, which is ground here. So 7 and 12. So this is my battery voltage. A little bit of solder on there. Solder that down, I can clip the end. So it's number 7. Now I'm going to flip this over. It's already took one through the hole. And I want number 12, which is ground. Set it on there. Solder that down. So that's number 12, 7, and 12. 7 is positive, 12 is 7 is positive, 12 is battery negative. So that's my battery wire. Okay, we're going to do the trigger wires now. And the trigger wires positive trigger wire will be 4. So I'm going to count over 1, 2, 3, 4. A little solder. And 10. So then I want to count over 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 would be right here for trigger negative. Get that one. Okay, so trigger positive is number 4. Trigger negative is number 10, terminal 10. So be 1, 2, 3, 4, then be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that finishes off the hack for a Vivitar 3700. I only use this for infrared. It's awful bright, very bright flash, but we'll get through the infrared material. So it does a really nice job. It really lights things up. But boy, it does a nice job for infrared. That concludes my hack.